All right, good morning. I want to do a video on this. This is a Moline G707. I actually bought this on eBay over the summer. I couldn't believe how inexpensive it brought, but of course it was in, 1,000 miles away from my house, so that kind of brought the price back to a not so. I mean, it wasn't a bad deal, but when you figure in trucking, it just adds it up. This tractor, the description said it needed new fuel filters, and after kind of reaching out to the buyer, I knew that probably wasn't the case. If you ever read a description on a tractor, a diesel that's not running good, says, I just think it needs new fuel filters, they seem to be plugging up. Don't believe that, ever. And I'm not saying that I believe this guy and he pulled the wool over my eyes. That's not what I'm saying at all, but I knew better. And finally got it home, and as I suspected, it wasn't the filters. I did put new filters on it, of course, but it was this guy. These old Master pumps evidently would chew up the governor. Now, I'm not an expert. I didn't rebuild this, but that was the issue. You could tell that it would try to start and it would run on ether and it would run for a little bit, but it just wasn't. It's like the fuel was shut off. It was smoking, and when it ran good, but it was just it acted like the throttle was just closed. So of course I bought this in the summer, and I had to wait for it till now. I mean, it's 2021 January, and I was looking around for information on these things and videos on YouTube to watch. Like, okay, I want to listen to this thing run. I want to hear other ones. Don't know a lot about them. I've had a 705. I've had a G6, and I figured it's the same thing, but it's kind of different. They only made these for 1 year. It's like a 705, but basically has some some different fenders on them, kind of nicer looking fenders, more like a John Deere Wheatland. The front end doesn't have a band kind of across the middle of the grill, and this one has the swept back front axle option, which would be nice for plow day. Tightens the turning radius from 10 acres down to 5 acres to turn it around, and it's got great big wheel weights on the back. Optional tire equipment. They're 23 130s, I believe. A little bit different. So anyways, I like the look of this thing. And today I put the pump on. I want to just kind of see if it'll start, and I want to hear it run. The guy showed me videos of it running before I bought it, and when the pump was working, boy, it ran sweet. So see if I can prop it up. Here's my G. This is a different story for a different day. Well, I'm going to see if I can prop this thing up on the G radiator. And, I kind of want to get the valve pipe here. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Alright, I guess that's good enough. So I've got some injectors cracked. The starter button quit working, so I got to jump it from the other side. See what happens. That would help if I turn the fuel on. Well, I see fuel coming from the injector, so that's a good sign. Maybe we can do it the rest of the way out. Now that the battery's about dead. It's probably 30 degrees and probably a little colder here in the barn. It's not the best day to try to start this, but I can't wait for a warmer day. This is like having a Christmas gift, a new present for myself. Okay, got it running finally. Timing was off. I didn't read the book when I put the manual on as closely as I should have. I didn't read the manual when I took the pump off, is what I'm trying to say. Still a couple issues with it. It's either got a dead hole, a bad injector, a bent push rod, or a combination of something. It's just not picking up on all six when it's full throttle, like under load, or even with no load. It's gotten a lot better. I've been trying to drive it around and get some heat built up in it, but still gonna need a little tinkering. It doesn't act like it's got bad compression in one hole, I don't think. You never know, but you can see that it's still passing quite a bit of unburnt fuel through it. Drivetrain seems pretty solid. Needs a couple electronic things worked out, but we'll worry about the motor first. I got a video from the seller. I think I said this earlier. He was out chisel plowing with it less than a year ago. I don't know if when the pump shot, if they tried to do some quick fixing or whatever. I know the fuel is full of, smells like cetane, that power service stuff. So I think they tried to fix it with some inexpensive ways, and maybe they over-ethered it and bent a push rod, I don't know. But I'll probably pull the injectors, have them done, do a compression test, check the valve lash and everything. So it's a good start for now. It's fun to drive around, and keep messing with it. Yeah, that's a lot of fuel. Seems like if it's gotten worse just sitting here when it's cooling off. But keep messing with it. Troubleshooting time. I was kind of hoping this would just be a bent push rod, but not quite. All the push rods look pretty good on this thing. So my next troubleshooting step is to compression test it. I pulled all the injectors out. I have this push button starter so I can sit here by myself and compression test it. I've got this compression tester I bought, used somewhere at an auction. It's in pretty good shape. I don't know if it works, but it should. So I got a Sharpie, and I'm going to write down the compression on each cylinder and hope it goes well. It should say basically all I'm trying to do here is not see if it's up to factory spec, but just see what the range is across all 6 cylinders. If all these are around the same, then I'm going to be more towards the injectors. Years ago I had a G6 and that ran pretty not so well, and I did do the injectors on that and didn't make a difference. That one did have a dead hole. However, that thing was quite a bit more wore out than this one. The only other thing that I thought of, I'm about to check that too. These did have these, it's kind of dark over here. Yeah, there's energy cells over here. It's part of the injection style that these engines use. It's kind of like an IDI, I think. Basically the combustion happens in a chamber, and then it's not directly into the cylinder wall itself. But anyways, enough talking. I'm going to get You can see I've skipped a couple steps here. Now I'm just driving the tractor around. So I'll tell you what I did. I could not find any issue with the compression
And what I had to do, and I didn't document this either, but it could be useful for anyone who's had these issues before, is that I had to compression test by finding another energy cell plug, which is on the opposite side of the engine. I drilled and tapped it for a compression, pretty much like a quick release for an air compressor, so I could compression test on that side. You can't just compression test through the common injector holes on these tractors. Compression looked good, nothing there, no dead holes. I had the injectors rebuilt because one was kind of seeping, number 2 was seeping a little bit, somewhere where the injector pieces mate together, not out of a fitting or anything. It was relatively inexpensive to do that, so I just did it anyways. And so now I'm just driving it around, trying to get some heat built up into it. And what I've learned on these Molines is that they don't typically run very good when it's cold out. When these videos were shot, it was end of the winter. And honestly, I was just driving around, kind of pegging it up hills, putting a little load on it, and I thought the temperature gauge was broken. Turns out these engines are just very cold-blooded. They're a 504 cubic inch inline 6 diesel, obviously. And no turbos, just a lot of mass is where they get their power from. They're about 100 horsepower. They used this engine design for a very long time in their gas, LP, and diesel engines. And Moline had they used them because they were reliable. I think even some of the white tractors in the 70s and 80s had this same engine design. So this was a way that I learned about Moline. So it was kind of, there was nothing wrong with the engine. And it was nice, but it just took me a while to figure that out. And as you see here in this video, the snow's gone. It started to run better. So what did we learn from this one? Bought it off eBay. It turned out to be a nice tractor. I'm not saying that's what I would do every time, but if you see something on eBay, try to establish a nice line of communication with the seller. I had that with this person who was selling this, and he was very good at telling me what it was like, other than the saying it needed fuel filters. Maybe he just didn't know. Definitely not placing blame on him for that. But this turned out to be a really nice tractor as far as it's all original. The only thing I really did after this, once I got it running good, was change the oil. Obviously, what else? There was a rear axle seal on the left-hand side that we replaced. That wasn't near as bad as I thought it was going to be. Everything on this tractor, because it came from Minnesota, and I live in upstate New York, just had that dry climate out there. Everything was non-rusty and came apart pretty well. I've really enjoyed having it. So the rest of this video is just pictures of it working, as we see here. This is my good friend Bob doing some pumping ground, and I've got another video here, another clip coming up at the end of this one. It we'll let play, and just to enjoy these big old diesel Molines they're a brute, and I really enjoy having one that runs. I've messed around with 705s, which I made a few years previous to this. I had a G1000. It was an epic fail. I didn't even videotape any of that. So this one's a good one, and I hope to have it in my lineup for many years. It's just a cool tractor. Like I said, it was only built 1 year. It was like a bridge between the 705, 706, and the G1000s. This is the 707, and the 708s that they made were the same tractor, but they had a front wheel assist. Hello. Well, it's almost July. I thought I had this put away for the year.
I was done with it. We did 4 acres of chisel plowing with this setup with the Moline and this little Ford chisel plow. Not sure who built this chisel plow, although it's labeled Ford. We can go over that later, but my dad broke something and he's planting string beans, or is about to. So we're gonna go do some chisel plowing with his rig, and figure I'd take you along for some of it. So let's do a cold start. Might need a little ether. Battery's hooked up, okay. Yeah, I unhooked the remotes. I'll make sure to do that up at the house. Gotta go put some points on this thing. So yeah, this is just a little 5-shank chisel plow I bought. I liked it because it was a Ford, and obviously I love Fords. 2 of my bigger ones here. But back on topic. Yeah, so I bought this mainly just to pull behind this old stuff. I've got one big tillage tractor and equipment that goes on that, but got some little stuff too that I like to pull with. Well, you know, like the 5000 should pull this. The 9000 can pull it. The 730 that's tucked back there, that could probably pull it. So I just like to have some old school tillage stuff to use behind the tractors. There's a little disc back there, old IH disc. Got a little 16-foot field cultivator. It's international with a cultipacker behind it. And so just stuff to play with. I usually do my pumpkin ground with it. But yeah, we're gonna go after some stuff for Dad just to help him out. Anyone wants to comment? I know that White made implements for Ford. I've looked back through some old literature, and I haven't really looked too hard because honestly I don't care. But sometimes I do care, and I think about who made this for Ford. But it's a 138, kind of odd. A lot of the chisel plows I've seen are a little bigger, and they have spring-loaded shanks on them. These are just shanks. So, anyways, I digress. Let's get on the Moline fired up. We can talk plows later. Alrighty. Yeah. It's a little hot. So, got my water, got my magnetic. No, it doesn't fit. Son of a gun. Got a magnetic cup holder down here, and I can't even use it. Like most Molines, this thing's a little cold-blooded, but it is 80 degrees out today, so it might start without any persuasion. Give her a rip. Up to the barn. We're going to change these points on the chisel plow and then go out and make a little dirt turn.
So this is all the movie I have on the 707 for now. If you guys want to see more on it, please let me know, and I will do so. The spring planting season is going to be here soon for 2023. Sorry that this is a compilation of videos for over probably 2.5 years, but that's how it goes sometimes. Thanks for watching, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.